is that without the voice of the people being heard and without independent media projecting that voice of the people, with the media, legacy and traditional media actually just singing sermons to the government, you won't really get any systemic change. We call this a proto-fascist government because it is a Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh driven Bharatiya Janata Party NDA government. Yes, it was not the political opposition that managed to bring them down to 240. It was the people of India that managed to bring them down to 240. The political opposition did not take those warnings seriously. We lost Haryana. We lost Maharashtra because of that. We lost Delhi. And we may now lose Bihar. But one thing has changed, that the opposition has woken up. So there was a problem in the electronic voting system. The counting was problematic. Supreme Court conducted that election. And the candidate that had appealed to the Supreme Court won, was declared the victor. So I think we will have to look at issues beyond just the voters list. The VVPAT system has to be at least 30% of audit trail counting. It can't be 0.02%, which is a meaningless statistical number. And what should be the demand? Not just that the DMK makes, not just that the Congress makes, not just that the VCK makes, but also citizens like and media channels like you make, should be give us digitalized voters list from 2016, not just now. So we want decentralized elections. We want the state bodies to conduct local elections and the ECI to conduct only parliament and president and vice president.
அறுவை சிகிச்சையில் கத்தை என்பது வரலாறு, ரோபோட்டிக் சர்ஜரி என்பது இன்றைய கூறு. தங்கம் புற்றுநோய் சிகிச்சை மையம், நாமக்கல் மற்றும் கான்பூர்.
டிகிரி முடித்து வேலை தேடுபவரா? உங்கள் ஊரின் செய்தி சேனல் உரிமையாளராகி சமூக வலைதளங்களில் மாதம் 1 லட்சம் வரை சம்பாதிக்க தங்கமான தொழில் வாய்ப்பு. ரூபாய் 3 லட்சம் மதிப்பிலான தொழில்நுட்ப உபகரணங்களுக்கு மட்டும் முதலீடு செய்து தமிழின் முதல் செய்தி சந்தையான கிங் 24x7 மல்டிஃபார்ம் டிவியில் சேனல் பார்ட்னராக இணைந்திடுங்கள்.
Thank you very, very much to call me here today on this very important subject that we are discussing, the very roots of democracy. I feel particularly happy because it's a collective of media persons with a social conscience, Peralai, YouTube Rootis, Aransai, Tribes Tyrell and Tribes Tamil and Take Left that are together into this joint effort. I'd like to begin by saying that what the last 11 years have taught us more sharply than ever before is that the democracy and the notion of democracy enshrined in the Constitution outlines certain institutional constitutional principles, where of course you have the executive, judiciary and legislature in the traditional sense, but you have media, which is legacy, traditional media, largely under the thumb of the government and the regime. Not entirely, but I would say largely. Parliament till June 2024 was virtually being used to dismantle the constitution brick by brick. Fortunately, there was a pushback. You have the judiciary and you have the election system. Well, Election Commission is a constitutional body. But at the very heart of all of this, as Devasam sir said, are the people of India. And if there's something rotten that is there in the state of Denmark, and if we look at the very critical aspect of the various rotten aspects of various institutions, not possible to go into all of that. One lesson I think we have learned in the last couple of months, 6 months, 1 year, but particularly in the last few months, is that without the voice of the people being heard and without independent media projecting that voice of the people, with the media, legacy and traditional media actually just singing sermons to the government, you won't really get any systemic change. What I'm trying to say discreetly is that all the institutions start ticking if they hear the voice of the people. And if we saw some hope yesterday in the Supreme Court order, temporary as it was, a stay order, if we saw some pushback on what the Election Commission is trying to do in Bihar, that's also got to do with how the people have responded and how the political opposition has woken up and responded. Lok Sabha 2024 brought the regime down to 240 seats. And everybody is talking about the trust deficit. Even the Supreme Court spoke about the trust deficit. Maybe one interesting figure that the court should also look at is the February-March figure of CSTS, which tells us that only 28% of the Indian people have faith in the election commission. This is before the Lok Sabha elections. So what is the reason for that? This was before Bihar SIR. It was before the Vote for Democracy report. But it is because of what Devasayam sir was talking about, the weaponization of the electronic voting system completely. Whether it is the VVPAT system not being implemented, the auditor trail, whether it is the SLU unit being made vulnerable to possible manipulation because it is connected to the Election Commission website and it has a labile memory. These are all very complex issues. And we've been trying to look at these issues very, very closely with a band of experts. We call this a proto-fascist government because it is a Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh-driven Bharatiya Janata Party NDA government. Yes, it was not the political opposition that managed to bring them down to 240. It was the people of India that managed to bring them down to 240. I think this is something the political opposition must have the humility to recognize. And I'm repeating this because I think without the fact that people getting involved in the 2024 election, you would not have got the result that it did. But after the June results, despite opinion polls and the share market and all of that scandal, the political opposition was largely enjoying its victory and was silent. Even then we were saying that if actually it had been a fair election, the result would have been decisive and different. But the political opposition did not take those warnings seriously. We lost Haryana. We lost Maharashtra because of that. We lost Delhi. And we may now lose Bihar. But one thing has changed, that the opposition has woken up. And we welcome the fact. We welcome the fact that the opposition has finally, on 7th of August, and we admire Mr. Rahul Gandhi for what he did. Now, I wish he had done it a year ago. I will say that again. I wish the DMK in Tamilnadu will not take Tamilnadu lightly, because it seems like a cakewalk for DMK and the BJP on the back foot, RSS on the back foot. But there are figures here also which I will share with you today, which are very disturbing. So no party, no opposition, no regional party should take this for granted. If an effort is made to manipulate a system, and if you have a proto-fascist force trying to do it, and if there is not vigilance of the people and the political opposition and an independent media together, we could be caught napping. So yes, the 7th of August press conference woke up, galvanized in that sense, the political opposition. And because the political opposition got galvanized, we have also got galvanized. Many of us who have been taking up this issue felt, okay, finally at least the political opposition is now talking about something that we've been talking about for years. I'd like to point out that we are talking only about voters list today. 80% of today's conversation was about SIR and the voters list. But as Devasayam sir pointed out, it is the entire electronic voting system that needs to be flagged. We can't only talk about the voters list. Please notice that just on 11th of August or 12th of August, there was a Supreme Court order setting aside a panchayat election in Haryana because the counting was spurious. The EVM counting was spurious. And it was conducted by the Registrar General of the Supreme Court, and the result was altered. So there was a problem in the electronic voting system. The counting was problematic. Supreme Court conducted that election, and the candidate that had appealed to the Supreme Court won, was declared the victor. So I think we will have to look at issues beyond just the voters list. Though of course the voters list is a problem and a part of the bigger problem, but it is not the only problem. What the 7th of August press conference did wonderfully is that a whole host of independent investigators emerged on social media and they've actually become warriors. So any kind of lies that the RSS IT cell tries to spin is being repudiated by these independent warriors, which is a great thing. But we can't talk about Bihar and we cannot talk about SIR without paying tributes from this podium to Ajit Anjum, one of the independent journalists who did wonderful on-ground reporting from about 1st or 2nd of July. And I think these are the things that we need to keep noting because that's how we build solidarities. I will now speak particularly, after this introduction, I will now speak particularly about, briefly, I will mention what happened last year when we brought out the Vote for Democracy report. I put it on my Twitter thread today, which says that, just as a reminder, close to 5 crore, 4 crore 65 lakh votes, according to us, was injected spuriously. In most states, it influenced seats. In Tamilnadu, it took the percentage up of the BJP to 11%. And I'll again show how, possibly. Like I said, everything we are doing today, whether what Mr. Rahul Gandhi did in Madhavpura or whether we are doing is circumstantial evidence. Eventually, there has to be an admission by the institutions of governance and adjudication that something is really rotten in the system and it needs a complete, fair investigation. And that can only happen if the EVS system and the machine and the SLU unit becomes open to inspection, if the source code is made public. I'm repeating, the source code has to be made public, and the VVPAT system has to be at least 30% of audit trail counting. It can't be 0.02%, which is a meaningless statistical number. So please, because I believe this group wants to take this seriously, I'm flagging these issues. Let it not just be Bihar SIR. It's a wider issue here, much wider issue. On 12th of August, and I'd like to thank Peralai again that they put up that Facebook Live video of mine on the channel, so I think people might have seen it in Tamil Nadu. But we released our own report on Bihar, where we looked at the Election Commission's own statistics in the 27-day SIR exercise. And what did we find? We find that between June 25th and July 26th, the SIR had identified 65 lakh voters and potentially 35 lakh more, which we'll talk about later because of what was mentioned. And again it was Ajit Anjum who brought it out, the Darbhanga scam, where the BLOs are also making this column called not recommended by BLO, which could totally in Bihar amount to almost 35 lakhs, which means almost 1 crore of people could be disenfranchised. We don't know how many, because unless this whole issue was taken to its logical conclusion, we don't know. Out of this total 65 lakh, which is 8.31% of Bihar's population, 55% were permanently shifted according to the Election Commission, not found by them. 34% according to them is deceased. 11% are duplicate entries. Now, how did they arrive at these figures? When we looked at the Election Commission's own press releases over that 25-26 day period, we found specific days when the spikes happened. It was not a steady flow of data. It was specific spikes. So we found that in one day, over July 21st and 22nd, towards the end of the exercise, because SIR ended on July 26th. So I think when they probably realized, this is my surmise, that the target is not being met, the target number is not being met, suddenly between 21st and 22nd July, a staggering 211,462 electors are claimed to have been found dead over a day, in one day. Okay. Then mass constituency removals in one day. Now this means, what does 211,462 mean? If you look at 243 Bihar constituencies, if you average out, it means 870 dead people were identified per constituency over one day. Suddenly. 5 days surged in deceased after that. Now we go to July 21st to 25th. And suddenly you have the dead electors going up from 16,55,407 to 22 lakh 4 days later. So again, an unnatural surge. Then there's a sharp 3-day escalation in permanently shifted voters. So suddenly the Election Commission suddenly collects data about permanently shifted. In 3 days, this data goes up staggeringly. In the last 3 days, 15,24,769 for all constituencies, which means 6,275 permanently shifted in one constituency. Deletion forms, the deletions are higher in number and the digitalization is lower in number. So digitalization, which the ECI is doing, shows a certain number, but the deceased and the permanently shifted suddenly go up to 9 lakhs. So it's a completely, all our data analysts and experts say this is not consistent, this is not scientifically possible, this is against the principles of data science. And there's opacity and aggregation of deletion of data. Suddenly from July 23rd onwards, they merge the categories. So you don't have permanently shifted, dead, and voting in 2 places anymore. They suddenly call them merged data because they don't want to separate the categories and give it to us. So all these point towards suspicion. Disproportionate impact in key districts. The average, like I said, 8.31% across Bihar. But Purnia has 12.08%. Gopalganj has 15.10%. Kishanganj has 11.82%. Madhubani has 10.44%. So some districts are particularly targeted and select. So all this points to a very, very huge suspicion. Yes, the Muslim community is a target. Yes, the Dalit community and migrant workers are a target. But in certain areas of Simanchal, like in eastern Bihar, including Araria, Kishanganj, Purnia and Katiyar, the share of deletions of the Hindu community is also higher than their rate of population, because once you start an ad hoc unjust process like we have been seeing, Citizens for Justice and Peace in Assam, nobody is going to be spared because it's inherently an unjust process. So this is Bihar SIR. Now tomorrow in Bangalore, we are going to be releasing our Maharashtra report. And Devasam sir, Madhav Deshpande sir and I will be there. And we are going to be talking like he talked today, so I won't repeat that, on the weaponization of the overall system. I spoke about a few words also. But we are also going to be speaking about some of the findings of Maharashtra. Now that also, the Congress party, Praveen Chakravarti, Rahul Gandhi have been flagging some issues. It's not News Laundry brought out an investigation on Nagpur, which was mentioned by one of the speakers. But what we have found is also something very interesting, some things that others have not found, which is that post 5 p.m. in Maharashtra, there was up to midnight, there was a 7.83% surge in votes, just like happened after Lok Saba. And Lok Sabha, the national average, as mentioned by Devasam sir, was about 4.83%. But in Andhra and Orissa, it was above 12%. In Maharashtra, it was 8%. And in Tamilnadu, it was lower percent. So it was a different ratio in different places. In Maharashtra, we had a 7.83% jump post 5 p.m. Now, elections stop at 6. They give us figures of 5. They don't give us figures after that. And there's no rationale why they're not giving figures. And one of the biggest problems of the Election Commission after Lok Sabha 2024 is that they've stopped giving actual voting figures. They're giving percentages. Now, why are they giving percentages? Votes are cast in numbers. Votes are counted in numbers. Votes are recorded in numbers. Why are you giving us percentages? Obviously, there is a game here, and they have to explain that. We also found there's a discrepancy in Maharashtra Vidhan Sabha elections between the state CEO figures and the Election Commission figures. Please understand what I'm saying. So 11 lakh difference in the voters list. So in August 30th, 2024, the Election Commission says there are 11 lakh more. And Maharashtra CEC says, no, there are 11 lakh less. So what's going on here? And there's no explanation. And this happens in October as well. This happens in November. The voters list. Very interesting in Maharashtra, the report we release tomorrow in detail. This figure was mentioned by Rahul Gandhi ji, that between 6 months between May 2024 and November 2024, that is Lok Saba and Vidhan Sabha, 41 lakh voters in Maharashtra increased. That's not a new figure. But what we found is something very, very interesting. Please listen carefully. 6 months in 2019, that is between Lok Sabha 2019 and Assembly 2019. Again, it was a period of 6 months. There was voters increased by 12.7 lakhs. In the 5 years between 2019 and 2024, the voters increased by from 37.9 lakhs to 45 lakhs. Okay. In the 5 months between 2019 Lok Sabha and 2024 Assembly, the voters increased by 84.6 lakhs. As I already said, between May and November, 41 lakhs, and 7 months between March and October, 46 lakhs. So what ratio are we talking about? Why is the ratio so much larger in 2024 than in previous 5 years in the normal vote? I mean, we did not see in Maharashtra any magic of voter registration taking place that suddenly this went up so sharply. So these are the questions that we are raising. We are also asking how, and this was also mentioned, I think, by somebody here, that if you have certain number, we have 12,000 booths in Maharashtra, and you have this voter surge post 5 p.m., then on an average in every booth, voting should have gone on for at least 10 hours. And there is no sign of that. And of course, now the Election Commission is saying we are not going to give you video footage and we are going to destroy it. So basically, no transparency and no accountability. So all in all, this amounts to one institution of democracy getting completely opaque, non-transparent, and not even bothering to answer citizens. I mean, apart from the fact that it's not answering political parties, it's not even answering citizens, because long before Vote for Democracy was formed last year, Devasayam sir and all had formed the CCE, Concerned Citizens Commission of Elections. They had sent a memorandum in 2019. They had sent a memorandum in 2023 to the Election Commission. Nobody was called and there was no reply. Now, in stark contrast, I want to mention that in earlier election commissioners, whether it's S.Y. Qureshi, not S.V. Qureshi. Everyone was saying S.V. Qureshi. Yaqub Qureshi. Yeah. So whenever he is one example, Lindo is another example, T.N. Seshan is another example. When all these commissioners were there, anybody who complained, it didn't have to be a political party. And however, quote unquote, small or ludicrous the complaint was, the Election Commission doors were open for citizens to, because eventually it is your right to vote. As has been said here repeatedly, whether it was Baba Saheb Ambedkar, whether it was Gandhi, whether it was the founding fathers, everybody said that the singular success of a democracy which has so much social and economic inequality like ours is the fundamental right to universal adult franchise. And as was stated by Justice Bagchi the day before the judgment was delivered in the Supreme Court, the essential conflict that the Election Commission is hell-bent on perpetuating is a conflict between Article 324 and Article 326 of the Constitution. Because Article 324 talks of the powers of the Election Commission and Article 326 talks about the rights of every voter. So how will that get resolved is a constitutional question, and we really await what the Supreme Court is going to do on that. I want to now also come a little bit to Tamilnadu. Because we discovered, and this is again, I must also express my thanks to Devasayam sir, because he constantly keeps pushing me. He said, Teesta, you're going to Tamil Nadu, do a little homework on Tamil Nadu figures. Because after all, in Tamil Nadu, everybody is very sure that BJP is never coming to power. So you need to tell them to be careful. So my expert, Dr. Pyarelal Garg, is an amazing person. He is from the former dean of the Punjab University, doctor by profession. And he's a whiz with numbers. So I want to credit him for this because it's not my work, it's a collective work. Just want to share with you what happened in Tamil Nadu in 2024. BJP claimed this 11 point something percent surge and claimed second position. I mean, 23 seats they contested with allies, 19 was BJP. And I think in 8 seats they said we came number 2. And if you look at the number 2, the votes that they got, 48 lakh votes totally, it's a huge number for a party like the BJP. So please, friends in Tamil Nadu, citizens of Tamil Nadu, comrades in Tamil Nadu, do not take this lightly. I just want to give you some figures here. In 2016 Vidhan Sabha Assembly, your voters in Tamil Nadu were 5,77,91,397. In 2019 Lok Saba, this figure goes up. Like normally things go up because new voters register, Form 6, to 6,24,04,097. Now just watch what happens. In 2021, Vidhan Sabha Assembly, the Tamil Nadu figure now from 6 crore 24 goes up to 6 crore 29 lakhs 43,693. The story is really between 2021 and 2024. And don't forget, nationally, we are looking at 2019 as a figure when everything started getting very, very weaponized. 30 lakh 1,861 voters are deleted from the rolls between 2021 Assembly to 2024 Lok Sabha. You are worried about Bihar. Journalists are going to Bihar from Tamil Nadu. Please look at your own voters list. How did these 30 lakh voters get deleted? And what should be the demand? Not just that the DMK makes, not just that the Congress makes, not just that the VCK makes, but also citizens like and media channels like you make, should be give us digitalized voters list from 2016, not just now. Number one. Number two, give us all details of Form 6 and Form 7. Form 6 is new voters, Form 7 is deletions. And give us all data about who has asked for the deletions. Because have there been mass deletions asked by RSS Karyakartas? We want to know. I don't know, I'm asking a question. How did these 30 lakh votes get deleted? I've just given you the figures. According to Dr. Garg, who keeps extrapolating on data, he says if you actually look between 2016 and 24, it's not just a question of these 30 lakhs. What about the increase that should have taken place of 5 lakhs every time? So he says actually it's closer to 76 lakhs missing voters. I'm not going there. I'm not even mentioning that figure, but I'm saying even if it's whether it's 30 lakhs or whether it's 76 lakhs, it is a huge number for Tamil Nadu. So I think every state needs to look at its voters list, and it can do so by asking for searchable list, not of this election and the election which are coming, but the last 4 or 5 elections, so that there can some aggregation and some average studies can be taken. I want to flag this here because it's very, very crucial. And I thought I should take this opportunity because I'm coming here to do it. I'm very, very happy that this form was circulated today. And I'd like to end by the reading out the demands in the form, because I think it's very, very important. It is something that we've also articulated. And I'm very happy that it was circulated here. That we demand that there's the first demand is that ECI must answer the issues of transparency and accountability being put forward by citizens groups and opposition parties. The voter system must be decentralized. We talk about center-state relations and federalism, but why don't we talk about the fact that under the 74th Amendment of the Constitution, which took place in 1992, urban local bodies, that is your Zilla Parishad and your Panchayat, also are constitutional bodies. So we want decentralized elections. We want the state bodies to conduct local elections and the ECI to conduct only parliament and president and vice president. Why should it be that the ECI conducts the Maharashtra or Tamil Nadu election? We have the 74th Amendment. which has given constitutional status and decentralized and recognized Panchayati Raj. So we would like also the election process and election responsibility and adjudication to be decentralized. And of course, forensic audit of EVMs, VVPATs and voter rolls, public release forms 17A, 17C and CCTV footage, rollback of restrictive Rule 93 amendments, restore transparency safeguards, demand legislative guarantees for end-to-end voter verifiability, and basically reinstate a free and fair election. That is very important. I'll end by saying that it's not insignificant that a Haryana Panchayati election was overturned by the Supreme Court just about a week ago. So I think we all need to look closely at these developments. People are fighting. People have always been fighting. But now that the opposition has finally woken up, please let's plead with the opposition that they don't go back into a slumber. This is not a one-stop campaign or a one-day campaign. It will be a relentless campaign at all these multiple levels. Thank you very, very much.
அறுவை சிகிச்சையில் கத்தை என்பது வரலாறு, ரோபோட்டிக் சர்ஜரி என்பது இன்றைய கூறு. தங்கம் புற்றுநோய் சிகிச்சை மையம், நாமக்கல் மற்றும் கான்பூர்.
டிகிரி முடித்து வேலை தேடுபவரா? உங்கள் ஊரின் செய்தி சேனல் உரிமையாளராகி சமூக வலைதளங்களில் மாதம் 1 லட்சம் வரை சம்பாதிக்க தங்கமான தொழில் வாய்ப்பு. ரூபாய் 3 லட்சம் மதிப்பிலான தொழில்நுட்ப உபகரணங்களுக்கு மட்டும் முதலீடு செய்து தமிழின் முதல் செய்தி சந்தையான கிங் 24/7 மல்டிஃபார்ம் டிவியில் சேனல் பார்ட்னராக இணைந்திடுங்கள்.